Top of the morning from the sports desk. Let's take a final look at our sporting headlines for this morning. In just over a month's time, the Springboks will launch the 2025 season against the Barbarians, which of course takes off in Cape Town on Saturday the 28th of June. Kickoff for that encounter is scheduled for around 5 past 5 South African time in the afternoon, of course. The Springboks will then, of course, will then host the incoming series, which will feature 2 tests against Italy on the 5th and the 12th of July, respectively, and of course one against Georgia on the 19th of July. This will, of course, then be followed by the Rugby Championship against Australia on the 16th and the 23rd of August in Joburg and Cape Town, respectively. And then, of course, the All Blacks on the 6th and the 13th of September in New Zealand. And, of course, Argentina will then, of course, the Springboks will then take on Argentina on the 27th and the 4th of October in Durban and, of course, in London, respectively. Finally, of course, South Africa will then depart for their traditional end of the year tour, which includes games against Wales, France, Italy, Ireland. While of course there could also be another game against Japan, which will be added to the schedule. Sounds like a crunching affair for the rest of the season for the Springboks. And then on some football news, where coach Jose Rivera's final match in Rivera's final match, rather, in charge of Orlando Pirates, will be tonight's encounter against Golden Arrows. This is, of course, a statement coming out of the club, which was confirmed yesterday. While the club made a shock announcement last month that Rivera would be leaving Pirates at the end of the season, it's now emerged that he will leave even a lot more sooner. The Betway Premiership clash against at the Orlando Stadium this evening will be his last game in the colours of the Buccaneers. In the statement from Orlando Pirates, it's also confirmed that Rivera has already signed with his new club, and coming out of statements and coming out of various social media pages, as far as sports is concerned, they've all confirmed that Al Ahly is where coach Jose will be heading. Rivera's highest lost profile match, of course, was against in the Nedbank Cup final against Kaizer Chiefs this past weekend at the Mos Mabhida Stadium, which of course the Naturena boys came out with a 2-1 victory, claiming the Nedbank Cup. In the league, as far as that's concerned, Pirates should finish off at second position, just second place to Mamelodi Sundowns, who of course need just 1 point from the 2 remaining games to clinch the title. And of course, under coach Jose, Pirates have won 4 cup titles and 2 runner-up finishes in the league before this season. I think more than anything, all Buccaneer fans will come out. I think Munib Joseph, of course, came out, gave out a heartfelt farewell to coach, and saying that the Buccaneers have definitely changed since the Spanish coach has taken over. There's definitely a good amount of chemistry, camaraderie within the Buccaneer camp. So he's definitely leaving after turning things around for Buccaneers. Who will take over from him? The likes of coach Rulani Mukwena and Pito Musimane have all been put in the hat, but we all seem to see who's in the takeover. I'm leaning more towards Rulani. I think Rulani is a lot more better suited for Buccaneers, considering he's played for the Buccaneers, considering he's been at the Buccaneers before as a head coach for the first team. So it might just be the time for him to return and perhaps try to change things that he did in the past and try to make it a lot bit better. Nonetheless, let's take a look at other sporting headlines across the world. Of course, Carlos Alcaraz was in dominant form as he beat Serbia's Laszlo Jerry 7-6, 2-6, 6-2 to seal his place in the last 16 in Rome. The player who's also on course to rise back to world number 2, even if he continues to win in Rome, in Rome, of course, he will have an opportunity to come out victorious. And of course, this one will set up the victory in Rome will set up a last 16 meeting against Karen Kakanov, and of course Alcaraz now appears to be in pole position to claim world number 2, of course ahead of the French Open, with world number 2, with of course the current world number 2 Alexander Zverev looking to defend 1,000 points from his win at last year's Italian Open. The German, of course, will now need to defend the title if he's to stand a chance to hang on to that position. Of course, the bigger concern for Carlos Alcaraz with the heavy strapping on his knee will be whether he can make it fit enough to come out and take that number 2 position that is highly claimed as far as our world tennis is concerned. There's been a lot happening as far as the world of sports, so much so that I've even forgotten this important news. Yes, Siwelele, we are back. Bloemfontein Celtic finally back in the finally I can almost confirm this, though, finally make the way back to Betway Premiership next season. This, of course, has been confirmed that SuperSport United might just be bought or sold over to the Bloemfontein franchise. I know a lot of fans in the Bloemfontein region have been crying for football to make its way back to Bloemfontein. The likes of Marumo Gallants did try, but did not have the same effect as the Siwelele effect normally does. So we might just see Bloemfontein Celtic back in contention next year as far as the 2025-2026 Betway Premiership is concerned. I'll keep that news in the loops. Of course, if it is confirmed, this will be the first place that you hear that news from. And just like that, so that's pretty much my story for this morning. Back again between 9 and 11 a.m. tomorrow morning. Until then, I've said.